Hark, seeker of ancient lore, and welcome once more to Whispers from the Veil. We stand now at the precipice of a new chapter in our esoteric curriculum, having journeyed through the symbolic landscapes of the major and minor arcana of the tarot in our preceding episodes. Now we turn our gaze northward to the misty fjords and windswept peaks of ancient Scandinavia, to lend our ears to the runic echoes of the elder Futhark and its profound entanglement with Norse cosmology. This episode marks the fourth installment in our 20-part series, a 20-video series for Whispers from the Veil, an esoteric curriculum, a sacred space where we shall unravel the threads of myth and magic woven into these potent symbols. The runes are not mere letters of an antiquated alphabet. They are whispers from the very wellspring of creation, sigils imbued with the primordial forces that shape the cosmos. Their history is as veiled in mist as the ancient Norse realms they represent. A tapestry woven from archaeological discoveries of the Norse and mythological narrative. The elder Futhark, the oldest form of the runic alphabets, emerged amongst the Germanic peoples sometime during the early centuries of the Common Era, its runic characters carved into stone, bone, and wood. These stark, angular forms were not born of idle hands, but were crafted for inscription upon natural materials. Each stroke to a rune is carved is a conduit for power. The very word rune whispers its own secret, stemming from an ancient Norse language root that means mystery or secret lore. To carve a rune was not simply to write. It was to invoke, to conjure, to make manifest a hidden truth. Within the grand theatre of Norse cosmology, the runes find their genesis in an act of profound sacrifice. The All-Father, Odin, in his insatiable quest for wisdom, hung himself for 9 nights upon the boughs of Yggdrasil, the great world tree. Pierced by his own spear, Gungnir, a sacrifice of himself to himself, he peered into the abyssal depths of the Well of Erd. In Gungnir's agony, the runes revealed themselves to him by proclaiming their secrets from the void. He seized them, grasping this cosmic rune alphabet not as a simple tool for communication, but as the very keys to understanding the mechanics of reality. Each rune, therefore, is a shard of Odin's ordeal, a splinter of the world tree, a drop from the well of fate. This divine origin story of the Norse elevates the runes far beyond mere historical artifacts, framing them as a sacred inheritance, a direct line to the divine and the fundamental energies of the 9 realms. The elder Futhark, with its 24 staves, becomes a map of this cosmology, a guide to the pathways of gods, giants, and men. To engage with the runes is to embark upon a dialogue with the archetypes and forces that govern existence. It is a mystical practice steeped in reverence and introspection, a far cry from the frivolous fortune-telling it is often mistaken for. The practitioner, the Vitki or runecaster, does not seek to predict a rigid, unchangeable future. Rather, they seek to understand the flow of weird, that intricate and ever-shifting web of cause and effect that connects all beings and all events across time. The ancient runes act as lenses, clarifying the patterns in the ancient runic symbols within this web and illuminating the influences at play in one's life. One common method involves casting the runes, allowing the carved runes, each rune on a separate antler bone or wooden piece, to fall upon a cloth as they may. The position and orientation of each rune, whether it lands upright or reversed, its proximity to others, are all part of the reading. The ancient Viking and Nordic rune Fehu, carved in stone, is a symbol for wealth, prosperity, and abundance. Does it lie beside Ansus, the rune of Odin and divine communication, suggesting that this wealth is a gift of inspiration? Or is it near Hagalaz, the hailstorm, foretelling a sudden and destructive loss? Each of the 24 staves of the elder Futhark is a universe unto itself, a microcosm of a greater cosmic principle. The alphabet is traditionally divided into 3 ayeta, or families of 8, each presided over by a specific deity. The first ayet, Freya's ayet, governs the primal concerns of existence. It begins with Fehu, the symbol of cattle and movable wealth, representing not just material prosperity, but the vital energy and nourishment needed for survival. It moves through Uruz, the untamed power of the aurochs, embodying the raw strength of the aurochs and formative potential. Then comes Thurisaz, the thorn of the giant, a force of chaos and defense, the hammer of Thor that both protects Midgard and smashes its enemies. This 8 charts the course of creation and sustenance. The runes are viewed as fundamental building blocks of life and society. The second ayet, Heimdall's ayet, delves into the forces that disrupt and transform. It is here we find Hagalaz, the destructive yet cleansing power of the hailstone, representing sudden, uncontrollable change that sweeps away the old to make way for the new. Nothiz, or need, speaks of constraint, hardship, and the fires of necessity that forge strength and innovation. It is the rune of shadow work, of confronting our limitations to overcome them. Then we encounter Isa, the rune of ice, symbolizing stillness, stasis, and the turning inward of consciousness. This ayet is the crucible of the soul, representing the most dangerous of life's challenges, the trials by metaphorical fire and ice, trials by fire and ice that are essential for growth and the evolution of consciousness. It is Heimdall, the ever-watchful guardian of the Bifrost Bridge, the god Heimdall, who oversees these trials, tests the mettle of those who would journey between the realms. The third and final ayet, Tyr's ayet, represents the culmination of the runic journey, embodying the higher orders of divinity, legacy, and spiritual attainment. It is presided over by the Norse god Tyr, the one-handed god of justice and self-sacrifice. This family begins with Tiwaz, the rune of the sky god himself, a spear point aimed at the heavens, symbolizing victory, honor, and the willingness to sacrifice for a greater principle. It contains Ewaz, the horse, representing the sacred partnership between rider and steed, symbolizing trust, loyalty, and the harmonious movement between worlds. We find Dagaz, the rune of daylight and awakening, a symbol of paradoxical synthesis, the moment of enlightenment where opposites are reconciled. And finally, the ayet concludes with Othala, the rune of ancestral land and inheritance, representing the accumulated wisdom, legacy, and spiritual birthright that we carry within us. This ancient ayet speaks not just of individual achievement, but of our place within the grand lineage of humanity and the cosmos itself. In a more practical application, beyond divination, the runes are potent tools for magic and manifestation. Galda, the practice of runic song or chant, involves vibrating the name of a rune to invoke its specific energy into the world. A Viking warrior might chant the name of Tiwaz before a battle to call upon its energies of victory and courage. A farmer might chant Fehu and Jera over his fields to encourage a bountiful harvest. The carving of runes, or risting, is another powerful method. Runes can be carved into talismans for protection, inscribed upon tools to enhance their function. Runes can also be in the form of a tattoo drawn upon the body to imbue oneself with a particular quality. The Bindrune, a ligature of 2 or more runes, creates a more complex magical sigil, a composite charm designed for a specific purpose, a charm made of a combination of runes. For instance, one might combine Gebo, the rune of gifts and partnership, with Wunjo, the rune of joy, to create a talisman to attract a harmonious and joyful relationship. This is not a matter of simple superstition. It is a profound act of focused will, using the symbolic language of the cosmos to align one's personal reality with the desired universal flow. The practitioner of the Nordic runes understands that the rune is not the source of the power, but the key that unlocks the power already latent within the self and the world. As our time in these ancient, esoteric, hallowed halls of learning draws to a close, let us reflect upon the journey we have undertaken. From the tarot's vibrant archetypes to the stark primal power of the elder Futhark, we see a common thread: humanity's eternal quest to understand its place within a living, breathing cosmos. The runes are not relics of a dead past, but living spirits. They symbolize the echoes from the dawn of time that still resonate with those who have the ears to hear. Runes are a profound system of wisdom, a practical tool for self-exploration, a sacred link to the ancestral currents that flow beneath the surface of our modern world. I invite you to carry the echoes of these ancient staves with you, to contemplate their forms and meditate upon their meanings. In understanding them, we come to better understand the mysteries etched upon our very own souls. Join us for our next episode, the penultimate chapter of our Esoteric series, where we will cross the veil into the shadowy and often misunderstood world of necromancy, exploring its history, ethics, and true spiritual purpose. Until then, may you walk in wisdom, and may the whispers from the veil guide you on your path. Farewell.